Ray, good morning to you, and tell us what ABATE is.
Well, good morning. ABATE originally had other names. In Florida, we use the acronym American Brotherhood Aiming Towards Education. Some other states use American Bikers for, awareness, training, and education. The point being, education is the biggest part of our group, biggest part of our reason for existence. We look at education in three different groups. We try to educate legislators, we try to educate the general public, and we try to educate motorcyclists in general, because we're all about safety. Now, legislators, unfortunately, sometimes pass laws when they don't really know how to impact a motorcycle. For example, there was one guy in Texas a few years ago suggested putting seatbelts on motorcycles, which is
that would be a death trap.
Yes, 500-pound machine,
that you're strapped to, and if it goes down, you can't get off of it.
No, you cannot. So we helped educate them on that. In New York right now, it is still legal for discriminatory roadblocks only affecting motorcycles, and at the time when they do that, they will go through the bike, the license, the background, everything they can on the motorcycle, but only for motorcycles. That's a discriminatory stop, and we're trying to get that stopped on a federal level. Well, with other groups working on a federal level. ABATE is active in 34 states. It's a motorcycle rights organization. We work to educate legislators. Now, here in Florida, we have a full-time lobbyist who works with the legislators in Tallahassee, keeping them informed, helping educate them. We also work to educate the general public, saying, please, you've probably seen the signs, look twice, save a life.
100%.
Yeah, we know that motorcycles can be hard to see.
Look out for motorcycles. I see the stickers, and a bunch of my buddies are bike enthusiasts, so right. I understand that, look both ways, and yet people still, I'm always amazed that people go, I never saw them.
Yeah, we are not asking for any special, special privileges or whatever.
You're not asking for a bike lane or anything.
No, we're just asking people to please be aware. We can hide behind, because of our profile, we can hide behind a sign that's close by to the car. We just ask to look twice. You can save a life. Unfortunately, over 70 to 72% of motorcycle accidents involving another vehicle are the fault of the other driver. The most common refrain, you nailed it, I didn't see him. So we're just asking them, general public, please, please, please be aware, because there is no such thing as a fender bender on a motorcycle.
No. I've seen friends of mine that say, wow, I got off lucky, and they're missing part of their arm muscle because it got ground away, right. or they got 2 or 3 of their fingers taken off in a motorcycle accident, and they you always hear, well, but I was lucky.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem lucky to me.
Well, they're still breathing.
Well, yeah, and that's what they said.
Yeah.
But, sometimes we take for granted the safety because I don't own a motorcycle. I'm smart enough to know I don't have the wherewithal to ride a motorcycle. I had a scooter in college in the early 90s, a Honda Helix 250, which is a little bitty scooter.
Right.
I must have laid that thing down 30 times in 2 years. So that told me right away, if I can't ride a scooter, chances are I don't need to be anywhere near a motorcycle.
Well, it's good to recognize limitations.
But we sometimes in cars we take for granted because we're surrounded by 4 sides, right. And we got airbags, and there's no airbags on motorcycles. Some of the newer ones I know, but you're not surrounded by airbags like you are in a car.
There's been recommendations for them, and if you look at tests, all it does is launches the driver into a car.
Right.
So we try to educate the public, and also we try to educate our own members to do things like ride straight, meaning sober. Every single flyer put out by ABATE of Florida has prominently on it, ABATE of Florida does not condone drinking and riding because it's dangerous enough when you're sober. You don't need to be in trouble that way. We also encourage members to take advanced motorcycle training courses. We encourage riders to make sure they're licensed and current. With the advanced motorcycle training courses, it's sad to think that over 90% of the people out there driving cars have never had any driver's ed since high school.
Yeah, believe me, 16, I took driver's ed on a movie screen with a fake steering wheel and everything. Never once did I get in a car. The driver's ed I did in Jacksonville, we did it all on simulators. And then you went with your parents on the weekends into a parking lot. I learned to parallel park by beating up Kmart shopping carts in a Kmart shopping plaza after hours when they closed, because my dad said, we don't want them to see him hitting you. We don't want to see you hitting the shopping carts while they're open. And so that's how I learned to parallel park. And you're right. That was 16 was the last time I took any kind of course. I'm 54 now. Okay, so that's what? 26, 36, 46 is 30 years, 36 years where all I've had to do is pass an eye exam and the state of Florida says, you're good.
Exactly. And we strongly encourage our riders. I've taken the advanced motorcycle safety course twice, and there's some things that literally have saved my life. Things you wouldn't think of. And
What do you say, though, to the people that say, hey, what do you mean safety? You're the guys that think it's okay to ride around in flip-flops, shorts, no shirt, and no helmet.
Well, we are not anti-helmet or anti-helmet laws. Simple reason being, helmets sometimes do help and sometimes they don't. More people die while wearing helmets every year than not wearing helmets. The state with the highest death rate per registered motorcycles, Mississippi, has a helmet law. So helmets are not the panacea for all ills, especially like me, if you've ever ridden through the Mojave Desert in August wearing a full-face helmet.
You would overheat.
Oh, yeah.
Long before your motorcycle did.
We are, like I said, we are not anti-helmet at all. We're just anti-helmet laws because it's very, very controversial. Sometimes they can help and sometimes they can't. There's not a helmet made that can withstand a direct impact at anything over 20 miles an hour. That's by the federal standards. The Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standard 218, one of the tests drops a helmet from 6 feet. If you do the math, remember 32 feet per second, it reaches a terminal velocity of 13.4318 miles an hour, and that, by the federal government standard, is a safety helmet. We don't travel at 13.4318 miles an hour. Plus, helmets don't do any good when a car turns in front of you at 70 miles an hour.
No, because you can break your neck with a helmet on or without a helmet on. You can snap femurs to the point where they cut your arteries and you bleed to death before you can get service, and that has nothing to do with you. And people say, well, Tom, no, a lot of deaths on motorcycle are from injuries like broke bones and all the arteries get cut, and they bleed out before they can get to a hospital and places like that.
One of the largest causes of death, according to a medical center study in California a few years ago, is blunt force injuries to the thoracic region of the abdomen, not the head.
That means a shot to your stomach.
Bingo. Now, by comparison, more pedestrians are killed every year than motorcyclists. Many of them die of head injuries. Shall we advocate helmets on people walking?
I see your point. It's legislation that I disagree with. The fact that I have to, by law, wear a seatbelt just boggles my. It should be my choice whether I put a seatbelt on or not. And I, with common sense, know in a car with four walls and with a restraint that goes across my entire body, and with airbags and everything, I'm probably pretty safe and should wear a seatbelt. But I don't like government telling me I should do anything.
Well, the reason we have seatbelt laws is because there was no ABATE organization for car drivers like there is for motorcyclists.
It's probably a fact.
We work on things like that. Now, we do a lot of other things as well. For example, we have toy runs. We have benefits. Matter of fact, we were scheduled here today because we were scheduling a veterans ride, honoring the veterans for this Saturday. But because of fears of COVID, especially since we were going to be visiting veterans hospitals, we had to cancel it because out of respect for our veterans, we didn't want to take a chance. But there are lots of other things going on. For example, we have our monthly meeting this Saturday at Charlie Horse at 9:30 in the morning. And anyone who wants to is welcome to attend. We have no secrets. Anybody that likes the idea, you don't even have to own a motorcycle to be a member of ABATE. Or if you just want to see what we're all about, we meet at 9:30 in the morning. There's breakfast available for $5. And you can see the types of things we get involved in, the efforts we do. I mean, this next year, ABATE of Florida, the Forest Chapter, as it's called here for Marion County, will celebrate 30 years in existence.
Wow.
Yeah, 30 years for a nonprofit with 100% volunteers. We don't have a paid member.
I worked with you. I worked with ABATE and other groups at a Kids Helping Kids benefit that was thrown at Gibson Customs. Mm-hmm. And then I've seen y'all do lots of things where you've raised money at situations that taken place at restaurants around town. You said Charlie Horse is one of them.
Right.
But you're very well. You're out and about in the community and doing community work. I can attest to that because I've worked in Harmony with you before.
Right. A few weeks ago, thanks to your help, we had a really good turnout for first responders run that we had close to this September 11th anniversary. We went to every fire station and police station in the county and gave them thank yous, just to say we appreciate your work. We had different groups going all over the place, not to raise funds, not to do anything, but just to say thank you, just to recognize that we back the blue, that we recognize and support our firefighters and EMS because they've got a tough job to do. And we just wanted to, in person, say thank you. We really appreciate you.
And those guys and women, those guys and girls are first on the scene, and usually first on the scene and how quick you get there is life and death at a motorcycle accident.
Right. And we prefer to say thank you before we need them on the street.
Right, yeah. You don't want to have to say thank you in the hospital afterwards when one of your brothers or sisters is laid up in traction.
Exactly.
Wondering whether they're going to be able to walk again or not.
And we also do purely social things, like starting this Saturday and the first Saturday of every month through the cooler months, we have a bike night at O'Callahan's on Silver Springs Boulevard. There's 50-50, there's raffles, there's music, and just a chance to look at bikes and, share.
Yeah, I have no idea about any. I'll see you there.
Okay. It's just a chance to look at different bikes and talk to people who share your
That's
passion.
my hangout, so I know bike night well.
Okay. Yeah. It's the first Saturday of every month, and during the cooler seasons, because, when it's...
And Abate is there in force. Your signs are up, your banners are up. I see that.
Exactly. We're there for, to support our local businesses. We're there to support Abate, and we're there to introduce Abate to people that aren't familiar with us. And like I said, we also have toy runs. We have a memorial polka run coming up also this Saturday. This is not an Abate thing, but another thing going on is a memorial polka run on this Saturday, starting at Warhorse Harley. There's toy runs in DeLand. There's toy runs in Leesburg County. I mean, there's always something going on.
Always. And the toy runs are very, very important because if you've ever, and this is a HOG group, the Harley Ownership Group that used to do it, and y'all worked in concert with them. If you've ever seen the smile on the child's face when Santa Claus pulls up, Joe, and gets off his motorcycle and starts handing out presents,
right,
Joe. And we're not talking about Joe Martone here, by the way.
Right.
We're talking about Santa Claus, and everybody knows who I'm talking about.
Of course.
So it's just to see a smile on a kid's face. That makes it all worth it.
Exactly. Now, in DeLand, it benefits the Toys for Tots. And in Lake County, there's one that benefits the Salvation Army, organizations that get together to help the distribution. It's just us working to help support their causes.
Talking with Ray Thomas from Abate Forest. Is it the Forest
Chapter?
Forest Chapter. Thanks for coming in today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having us.
Yep, and I'll see you at bike night.
Okay.
Coming up next, Career Source, Citrus, Levy, Marion. They're coming in to talk about a Paychecks for Veteran event, the 8th annual Paychecks for Veterans that they're going to do. We've talked about it numerous times here. We'll have Career Source, Citrus, Levy, Marion in to talk about that next. You're listening to Ocala Talks with Tom Schmitz. I am on 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, WOCA. The Source. I think.
Attic Mall Studios. This is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
With Lance Pry.
The 2020 presidential election is still undetermined at this hour. The voting is too close to call in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin,